Welcome back to Freedom, Facts, and Firearms. My name is Novak, and today we'll be looking at the colonial American laws on arms carrying. In colonial America, arms were routinely carried for defense and recreation. There were no laws prohibiting a law-abiding citizen from peacefully carrying arms in public. There were laws prohibiting certain behavior with arms and certain uses. 8 of the original colonies actually had laws mandating the carry of arms. Let's take a look at them. Virginia. In 1619, the House of Burgesses required that all such as bear arms shall bring their pieces, swords, powder, and shot to church on Sundays. This law was reiterated in 1632 with the declaration that all men that are fitting to bear arms shall bring their pieces to church. In 1623 a law was passed stating that no man go or send abroad without a sufficient party well armed. This law made it illegal to travel without being well armed or in a group of well armed people. In 1624 an arms law was passed for farmers. It stated that men not go to work in the ground without their arms, and that the commander of every plantation take care that there be sufficient of powder and ammunition within the plantation under his command, and their pieces fixed and their arms complete. Both the 1623 and 1624 laws were also reiterated in the 1632 law. In 1665, the Virginia Assembly became worried that the careless manner of people going unarmed to churches, courts, and other public meetings may probably, in time, incite the Indians to make some desperate attempt upon them. This is interesting because the places that are today labeled as sensitive areas and arms are prohibited from are the very same places the colonial Americans and our founders found to be the most prone to an attack, and required the good law-abiding citizenship to be armed in. To remedy this issue, the Virginia legislature requested that the governor tell militia officers to take care and prevent the same. In 1676, after Bacon's Rebellion, which was when a group of around 1,000 frontiersmen began an offensive against Indians and the royal government due to the lack of protection or aid from the government in their area, Virginia passed an arms control law. This law did not prohibit any type of arm nor single out any individuals that could or couldn't carry arms. It declared, "Liberty is granted to all persons to carry their arms wheresoever they go," but it would consider a group of 5 or more to be riotous. This law unlikely meant that a group of 5 or more armed individuals going about daily life in a peaceful and lawful manner would be considered to be riotous, but that an armed group of 5 or more in protest or in some type of action would be. Connecticut. In addition to Virginia, both Connecticut and New Haven, which became part of Connecticut in 1662, also required people to attend church armed. The law read, "To prevent or withstand such sudden assaults as may be made by Indians upon the Sabbath or lecture days, it is ordered that one person in every several house wherein is any soldier or soldiers shall bring a musket, pistol, or some piece with powder and shot to each meeting." Massachusetts Bay. Massachusetts first passed a law in 1637 mandating armed carry at all public assemblies. It read that all persons over 18, except for magistrates and church elders, must come to the public assemblies with their muskets or other pieces fit for service, furnished with match, powder, and bullets. The original law was repealed, and in 1643 a new law was passed stating the highest ranking militia officer of each town was ordered to appoint what arms to be brought to the meeting houses on the Lord's days and other times of meeting. Massachusetts also wanted travelers to be armed in a similar way as Virginia mandated travelers to be armed. They passed a law in 1631 that ordered people traveling to the adjacent colony not to go without some arms through 2 or 3 together. This law was expanded in 1636 and read, "No person shall travel above 1 mile from his dwelling house, except in places where other houses are near together, without some arms upon paying of 12 pence for every default." Basically, these laws meant that armed people were to be at churches and public meetings to protect everyone from surprise attacks, and that anyone traveling to areas not densely populated must be armed. Plymouth. Militiamen were required to bring guns to church on Sundays, from April 1st through November 30th. A quarter were required to bring powder and bullets for after-church practice. During King Philip's War between 1675 and 1676, the requirement was made year-round, and everyone had to bring at least 6 rounds of ammunition. Rhode Island. Rhode Island held that no man shall go 2 miles from town unarmed, either with gun or sword, and that none shall come to any public meeting without his weapon. Again, another law showing that weapons were allowed to be carried anywhere, including to official government meetings and other events. There were no sensitive places in which weapons were prohibited in early America. Rhode Island's law is more unique in that it does not list the reason for the law as fear of an Indian attack. Maryland. Maryland mandated arms carry in 1642, stating, "No man able to bear arms to go to church or chapel without fixed gun and 1 charge at least of powder and shot. Further, no man able to bear arms to go any considerable distance from home without fixed gun and 1 charge at least of powder and shot." South Carolina. South Carolina required that every white male inhabitant of the province, except travelers and such persons as shall be above 60 years of age, who is liable to bear arms in the militia of this province, who shall go and resort to any church or any other public place of divine worship, had to carry with him a gun or a pair of horse pistols, with at least 6 charges of gunpowder and ball. Anyone that violated this law was supposed to be turned in by church officials. This law was not used in Charleston, as all members of the watch and ward were required to be on duty. Georgia. Georgia had a 1770 law that was similar to South Carolina's, but stated that everyone liable to bear arms in the militia had to carry 1 long gun or 2 handguns to church. The guns could not be left outside. Everyone had to take the said gun or pistols with him to the pew or seat. The inhabitants of the seaport towns could instead carry any sidearms, swords, knives, handguns, or other arms worn on the side. So as you can see, while not all colonies had laws mandating carry, the majority of them did, and those that didn't still did not possess laws prohibiting carry in a proper manner. The sensitive places of colonial America, such as churches and areas for public meetings, are still sensitive places today. But unlike today, instead of disarming and banning firearms in hopes an attack doesn't happen, the colonial Americans mandated firearms to stop such an attack that may happen. It is their way that was much more effective. Now that we have a better understanding of the arms laws and laws surrounding the carry of arms in colonial America, we'll start to look into what restrictions existed during this period and who they applied to. Thanks for watching, and join us next time as we look at early firearms controls and prohibition.